Are you still at State Farm Arena, or did you go back to your hotel?
I
Vince
am in the
Goodwill.
wellness room inside of State Farm Arena,
Oh,
which is
isn't that a good place to be?
an apropos place considering what's happened here this evening.
Well, that was they haven't had too many big nights in Atlanta for basketball in the last 4 or 5 years, but this was one of them. And while it is going to be very tempting to for people to be focusing on the Knicks who are behind, I do think that it should be noted that the Atlanta Hawks, who what were they under 500 at one time? Spawn temps like 12 games under 500 maybe at one point.
I mean, they were languishing in 10th place, bordering on being in 11th place in the Eastern Conference at the All-Star break, and then completely flipped things around after that.
Well, anyway, you were in the arena tonight, Vince. A comeback victory in the late in this game. The Knicks were, they had come back and taken the lead, and Jalen Brunson had made this terrific 3-point play that looked like might give them leverage, and then everything went the Hawks' way down the stretch, and that's now 2 back-to-back 1-point wins for the Hawks, and they are ahead 2-1.
I mean, the numbers about game threes. It says, 87% of the winners of game threes win the series, but I feel like we can all point out recent examples of teams that win a game three and then not having anything else the rest of the series. I think tonight was interesting on a number of levels. For one, the Knicks could not get a good shot in the last minute and a half after they took the lead. Their final 2 offensive possessions were just gummed up by the Hawks. Jalen Brunson shot an air ball from the right side, which is usually the place where he likes to walk you down, one dribble hesitation, pull up, and airball at that. And then the final possession was just a total cluster. They couldn't even get a shot off. Like, it just seemed like everything that could go.
McBride did hit 5 threes. Before we get to the big picture, though, real quick, Vince, I want to talk about the last 2 plays of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, look, a lot leads up to it, but, execution in the clutch really, really matters. So on the play that the Hawks ran to take the lead, a very, very effective play set up by Quinn Snyder. Now, let me just say, and this is not news, but obviously the Knicks can't have Brunson and Karl Towns on the court because they are very susceptible to attack. And so that means that the biggest guy on the court, and it was partially because Atlanta doesn't play big, but Atlanta, the biggest guy on the court was OG Anunoby. So they knew that CJ McCollum was going to get the ball, and I think they figured that Onyeka Okongwu was going to set the screen. That meant that they put OG Anunoby on Okongwu because they figure, big, small screen set. And then Bridges is inserted into the game. He hadn't been playing, but he's inserted into the game, and they put him on Nickeil Alexander-Walker because Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the second best scorer out there, maybe arguably the best scorer out there at that point. And so Jalen Johnson's inbounding the ball. Josh Hart is on him. And Quinn Snyder sets up this play where he pushes OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, the 2 best defenders on the court. He pushes them all the way across. And that leaves Miles McBride, Deuce McBride, and Landry Shamet to defend the action that ends up with CJ McCollum getting the ball and in position. Good defenders. They're $100 million, $200 million defenders, isolated them away from the actual action. And it got him exactly what they wanted, the guy with the ball, with the leverage. I think McBride was
they got CJ McCollum a practice shot. I mean, Deuce played decent coverage on it, but at the end of the day, CJ got exactly where he wanted. Right. He got exactly the shot he wanted, and he easily made it.
On the other side, so now the Knicks have the ball. They wanted Brunson to get it. Everybody in the building knew Brunson was getting it. They put Dyson Daniels, great size, excellent defender, on him. And Dyson Daniels got through 2 screens. OG Anunoby tried to set the first screen. He made contact. Dyson got around it. Then they had a second screen that Karl Towns set. He got around it. And so as a result, Brunson couldn't get the ball. He denies the inbounds, and now we got a problem. Okay? So they inbound the ball to Josh Hart. Josh Hart scrambles and gets Brunson the ball. And Dyson Daniels finally does get screened and gets knocked over. Okay. So actually they kind of had recovered. They finally got Dyson Daniels off, but instead of getting Dyson Daniels off and having Brunson with the ball with 12 seconds the Hawks play was perfectly executed. The Knicks play was a mess. And as a result, Brunson gets some bad shot. The ball gets knocked around.
They didn't even get a shot off. He tried to throw a pass and it got turned over, and that was that. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the X and O's, Vinny. And there's a lot that goes into that, but when you lose 2 1-point games, how the X's and O's go at the end matter.
Well, I think we've been fooled into believing that coaches just roll the ball out there and let the guys just cook, so to speak, and all the games sort of looks homogenized and all that. And then you get to the playoffs and you find out who's really got stuff. Like, I miss being able to see Ty Lue cook in the playoffs. Ty Lue always used to have some counters, when he had really good teams. Quinn Snyder is doing masterful work in second halves and in fourth quarters. Like, honestly, the Hawks were on the verge of giving this game up at least 3 or 4 times in the fourth quarter, and then something would happen and they would just regroup. They would get a call to go there where the 2 challenges, once again, coaching, the 2 challenges went their way. One was on the Jonathan Kuminga contest of Josh Hart at the rim.
The other one was
Okongwu getting stripped by Josh Hart.
Well, no, hold on. So the Quinn Snyder won 2 challenges. One, as you said, Kuminga's playing defense on Josh Hart, makes a great play. Natalie Sago completely blows the call, gets it overturned. The other one, Deuce McBride goes up for a jumper, sticks his leg out. CJ McCollum hits it. Again,
that's the one. Yeah.
Natalie Sago calls it. It's a very obvious missed call. They both get overturned. Would have been 4 free throws for the Knicks. They all get wiped off the board. Mike Brown makes one challenge, a horrible challenge, frankly, on Josh Hart, had 2 hands on Onyeka Okongwu's arm. Like, it was a very clear foul.
It was a tough foul in the moment, but it was not a place to challenge. It was
anybody had watched,
it was 8 minutes left or something. 7 minutes left?
It was just over 3 minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes.
They saw the actual steal. Josh Hart didn't.
The steal was
him.
clean. The play before that was the moment before that was the foul.
That's right. The reason he made the steal was he grabbed both hands on Okongwu's arm, and so he started to lose the ball, and then Josh took it. But that challenge was extraordinarily costly, not just because the Knicks didn't have a challenge, but as you guys just laid out on that final possession, when Jalen Brunson gets to the corner and has nowhere to go with about 5 seconds left, it would have been great. They could have turned and called timeout, and they would have had a timeout to burn, and they could have run another play. But instead, because they only had the 1 timeout left, when they couldn't get the ball, when they got the ball in, everything got disjointed, they had no ability to reset. And that, for the second game in a row, Mike Brown, frankly, screwed up the timeouts and left the Knicks with only 1 in the final 10 seconds of the game, and it played a part in them losing the game.
Here's what I will point out. I'll point out 2 things. Because one, our seats in Atlanta were sort of very high, but right behind the Knicks bench. And all of the assistants were yelling at Mike Brown to go challenge the play. He didn't see the play. Like, the assistants see the play. They didn't even wait for it on the Jumbotron. Secondarily, on that last play, and I'm not sure if everybody caught it, I'm going to give Jonathan Kuminga a whole lot of credit for going in and chasing Jalen Brunson, knowing where he was going to go for that step back, driving at the right time. Like, they kept letting go of the rope and they kept grabbing it before the boat capsized.
Well, speaking
and that's
of Kuminga,
when you give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, we'll just do it just right now. Kuminga goes 9 of 14, scores 21 points tonight. I know that McCollum made some big plays down the stretch. I know that Jalen Johnson had a couple of big baskets, but the truth was the Hawks' offensive best players didn't have a great night. Between Jalen Johnson, CJ McCollum, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I believe they're 20 of 50. That's, usually not going to get it done.
The Hawks would be down 0-3 in the series if not for Jonathan Kuminga, which is a remarkable thing to say when you think about the season, then frankly the career to this point that Jonathan Kuminga has had. But in the second half of Game 2 and in the second half of Game 3, he made a bunch of huge plays, made huge defensive plays. And look, Dyson Daniels was the most improved player in the league last year and was an all-defensive player. He might be an all-defensive player again. You mentioned the defense he played on Jalen Brunson. He had very good moments on Jalen Brunson today, but he has questionable times on offense, particularly with his shooting. And the last 2 games, Quinn Snyder has benched him for most of crunch time in favor of Jonathan Kuminga, and that has led to 2 wins. And again, that I'm sure Warriors people are banging their heads against the wall saying this guy's doing a lot of the stuff we've been asking him to do for years and he didn't want to do it here. But at the end of the day, he's made a bunch of winning plays and has been a massive part of these 2 victories for Atlanta.
Well, I'll just say the midseason trades, the Hawks front office has been, doing some really good work over the last 18 months. The midseason trades with McCollum and Kuminga are looking great. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the offseason signing, and the trade that, before last season, Dyson Daniels, Travis Schlenk, I think, drafted Jalen Johnson and Nneka Okongwu. Those were,